Lift up his head and fasten the slip knot." 2 minutes later, Pierre Leduc's body was swinging at the end of the rope. "Capital! That was quite simple. Now you can all of you go. You, doctor, will call back here to morrow morning. You will hear of the suicide of a certain Gérard Baupré. You understand, Gérard Baupré. Here is his farewell letter. You will send for the divisional surgeon and the commissary. You will arrange that neither of them notices that the deceased has a cut finger or a scar on one cheek." "That's easy." "And you will manage so as to have the report written then and there, to your dictation." "That's easy." "Lastly, avoid having the body sent to the Morgue and make them give permission for an immediate burial." "That's not so easy." "Try. Have you examined the other one?" He pointed to the young man lying lifeless on the bed. "Yes," said the doctor, "the breathing is becoming normal. But it was a big risk to run. The carotid artery might have—" "Nothing venture, nothing have." "How soon will he recover consciousness?" "In a few minutes." "Very well. Oh, by the way, don't go yet, doctor. Wait for me downstairs. There is more for you to do." The prince, when he found himself alone, lit a cigarette and puffed at it quietly, sending little blue rings of smoke floating up to the ceiling. A sigh roused him from his thoughts. He went to the bed. The young man was beginning to move; and his chest rose and fell violently, like that of a sleeper under the influence of a nightmare. He put his hands to his throat, as though he felt a pain there; and this action suddenly made him sit up, terrified, panting. Then he saw Sernine in front of him. "You," he whispered, without understanding. "You." He gazed at him stupidly, as though he had seen a ghost. He again touched his throat, felt round his neck; and suddenly he gave a hoarse cry. A mad terror dilated his eyes, made his hair stand on end, shook him from head to foot like an aspen leaf. The prince had moved aside; and he saw the man's corpse hanging from the rope. He flung himself back against the wall. That man, that hanged man, was himself! He was dead and he was looking at his own dead body. Was this a hideous dream that follows upon death? A hallucination that comes to those who are no more and whose distracted brain still quivers with the last flickering gleam of life? His arm struck at the air. For a moment, he seemed to be defending himself against the squalid vision. Then, exhausted, he fainted away for the second time. "First rate," said the prince, with a grin. "A sensitive, impressionable nature. At present, the brain is out of gear. Come, this is a propitious moment. But, if I don't get the business done in 20 minutes, he'll escape me." He pushed open the door between the two garrets, came back to the bed, lifted the young man and carried him to the bed in the other room. Then he bathed his temples with cold water and made him sniff at some salts. This time, the swoon did not last long. Gérard timidly opened his eyes and raised them to the ceiling. The vision was gone. But the arrangement of the furniture, the position of the table and the fireplace and certain other details all surprised him. And then came the remembrance of his act, the pain which he felt at his throat. He said to the prince: "I've had a dream, have I not?" "No." "How do you mean, no?" And, suddenly recollecting: "Oh, that's true, I remember. I meant to kill myself. And I even," bending forward anxiously, "but the rest, the vision." "What vision?" "The man, the rope. Was that a dream?" "No," said Sernine, "that also was real." "What are you saying? What are you saying? Oh, no, no, I entreat you, wake me if I am asleep, or else let me die. But I am dead, am I not? And this is the nightmare of a corpse. Oh, I feel my brain going. I entreat you." Sernine placed his hand gently on the young man's head and, bending over him: "Listen to me carefully and understand what I say. You are alive. Your matter and your mind are as they were and live. But Gérard Baupré is dead. You understand me, do you not? That member of society who was known as Gérard Baupré has ceased to exist. You have done away with that one. To morrow, the registrar will write in his books, opposite the name you bore, the word 'dead,' with the date of your decease." "It's a lie!" stammered the terrified lad. "It's a lie!
considering that I, Gérard Baupré, am here!"
"You are not Gérard Baupré," declared Sernine. And, pointing to the open door, "Gérard Baupré is there, in the next room. Do you wish to see him? He is hanging from the nail to which you hooked him. On the table is a letter in which you certify his death with your signature. It is all quite regular. It is all final. There is no getting away from the irrevocable, brutal fact: Gérard Baupré has ceased to exist." The young man listened in despair. Growing calmer, now that facts were assuming a less tragic significance, he began to understand. "And then?" he muttered. "And then, let us talk."
"Yes, yes, let us talk."
"A cigarette?" asked the prince. "Will you have one? Ah, I see that you are becoming reconciled to life. So much the better. We shall understand each other, and that quickly." He lit the young man's cigarette and his own and, at once, in a few words uttered in a hard voice, explained himself: "You, the late Gérard Baupré, were weary of life, ill, penniless, hopeless. Would you like to be well, rich and powerful?"
"I don't follow you."
"It is quite simple. Accident has placed you on my path. You are young, good looking, a poet. You are intelligent and your act of despair shows it you have a fine sense of conduct. These are qualities which are rarely found united in one person. I value them, and I take them for my account."
"They are not for sale."
"Idiot! Who talks of buying or selling? Keep your conscience. It is too precious a jewel for me to relieve you of it."
"Then what do you ask of me?"
"Your life." And, pointing to the bruises on the young man's throat, "Your life which you have not known how to employ. Your life which you have bungled, wasted, destroyed and which I propose to build up again, in accordance with an ideal of beauty, greatness and dignity that would make you giddy, my lad, if you saw the abyss into which my secret thought plunges." He had taken Gérard's head between his hands and he continued eagerly: "You are free! No shackles! You have no longer the weight of your name to bear. You have got rid of that number with which society had stamped you as though branding you on the shoulder. You are free! In this world of slaves, where each man bears his label, you can either come and go unknown, invisible, as if you owned Gyges' ring, or else you can choose your own label, the one you like best. Do you understand the magnificent treasure which you represent to an artist? To yourself, if you like? A virgin life, a brand new life. Your life is the wax which you have the right to fashion as you please, according to the whims of your imagination and the counsels of your reason." The young man made a gesture expressive of weariness. "Oh, what would you have me do with that treasure? What have I done with it so far? Nothing." "Give it to me." "What can you do with it?" "Everything. If you are not an artist, I am. And an enthusiastic artist, inexhaustible, indomitable, exuberant. If you have not the Promethean fire, I have. Where you have failed, I shall succeed. Give me your life." "Words, promises!" cried the young man, whose features began to glow with animation. "Empty dreams! I know my own worthlessness. I know my cowardice, my despondency, my efforts that come to nothing, all my wretchedness. To begin life anew, I should need a will which I do not possess. I possess mine. Friends. You shall have them. Means. I am providing you with means, and such means! You will only have to dip, as one would dip into a magic coffer." "But who are you?" cried the young man, wildly. "To others, Prince Sernine. To you. What does it matter? I am more than a prince, more than a king, more than an emperor. Who are you? Who are you?" stammered Baupré. "The master. He who will and can. He who acts. There are no bounds to my will, there is none to my power. I am richer than the richest man alive, for his fortune is mine. I am more powerful than the mightiest, for their might is at my service." He took the other's head in his hands again and, looking deep into his eyes: "Be rich too, be mighty. I offer you happiness, and the joy of living, and peace for your poet's brain, and fame and glory also. Do you accept?"
"Yes, yes,"
whispered Gérard, dazzled and overmastered.
"What am I to do?"
"Nothing." "But ..." "Nothing, I say. The whole scaffolding of my plan rests on you. But you do not count. You have no active part to play. You are, for the moment, but a silent actor. Or not even that.